So we've learned the distributive property. We're going to do more practice with the distributive property. We're going to look at some applications like area here. We want to find the area of this rectangle. This is a monomial. This is a binomial. So if you want to find the area of that rectangle, area is length times width. You would have to take the length, which is the monomial, times by the width, which is the binomial. What do we do when we have a number outside of the brackets like this? We use the distributive property. And the distributive property says that this 4x is going to multiply that 3x, and this 4x is going to multiply that 6. What happens if you do 4 times 3x? Multiply the numbers. 4 times 3? 12. X times x when you multiply the variables? X squared. What's 4x times 6? Multiply the numbers. 4 times 6? 24. Multiply the variables. There's only the x. So we get 24x. And this is the area of that rectangle. So this reviews distribution. And whenever we have something outside the front of the set of brackets and we're multiplying, what we show for work is we draw these arrows to say I need to multiply that a by the first one and I need to multiply the a by the last one. Well, what's a times b? It's ab. What's a times c? It's ac. So that's the same thing that we just did, just to show it again. You have the 4x, it's outside of the brackets. Draw an arrow to the 3x. Draw an arrow to the 6. 4x times 3x. 12x squared. 4x times 6. 24x. So if we simplify this one, the 4x will go to all three terms because we have a monomial times by a trinomial. We multiply the numbers. 4 times 1 will give us 4. Multiply the variables. X times x squared will give us x cubed. The second one, 4 times negative 5 will give us negative 20. X times x, x squared. 4 times negative 3 will give us negative 12. X. If we distribute, anytime we have a number out in front, so this negative 2 will go to this one and to this one. It won't go further because that's where brackets end. But then we have a plus 5a and then brackets again. So this 5a will go to all three of those in that trinomial. So our first step is just to distribute. Negative 2 times 4 is negative 8, and the only variable there would be a. Negative 2 times 7 will be negative 14. 5a times a squared will be 5a cubed. 5a times 4a, well, 5 times 4 is 20. A times a will be a squared. And 5a times negative 2 is negative 10a. So step 1 is just to distribute and get your terms. Now we're going to look, are there any of these that are like terms? And if we're going to write these, our final answer, I'm going to start with the one with the biggest degree. The biggest degree here is the 5a cubed. Do we have any like terms with 5a cubed?
Yeah, 28. No.
Okay, so remember, to be like terms, it has to have the same variables and the same exponent with those variables. So there is nothing that goes with 5a cubed. What about 20a squared? Is there any other a squareds? No. So we have plus 20a squared. But as soon as we get to the a's, we've got a negative 8a here and a negative 10a there. Those are like terms. Negative 8 minus 10, how many would you have? Careful, think of your number line.
Negative 16.
You're at negative 8 and you go back 10. Negative 18a. And then finally, There's our final answer. So we got a number outside the brackets. This 2x is going to get multiplied by each of these terms in this trinomial. The minus 3 is going to get multiplied by each of the terms in that binomial. 2x times x will be 2x cubed. 2x times minus 5x. Multiply the numbers, multiply the variables. 2x times 2, minus 3 times 2, minus 3 times minus 5, plus 15. Do we have any like terms here?
Please stop. Jill, stop. Jill, stop.
No like terms with 2x cubed. Any like terms with the x squareds? No like terms with the x squareds. Any like terms with the x's? 4x and minus 6x. When you put those together, what do you get? Negative 2x's. And then you have the plus 15. There's our final answer. Okay. So, we will be very tempted. We'll be very tempted to do 2 minus 8 to begin with. But order of operations say multiply before you add or subtract. So we have multiplication here, so we have to distribute this minus 8 to each term. That means you're still going to have a 2 out in front. Minus 8 times q squared will be minus 8q squared. Minus 8 times negative 3q will be plus 24, because 3 times 8 is 24. The variable will just be q. And negative 8 times positive 4 will be negative 32. Now, do we have any like terms? Nothing with the q squareds. Nothing with the q. But we have a 2 and a minus 32. If you have 2 and you subtract 32, where are you going to end up on your number line? Negative 30. We have one more slide and then your homework. So with this question, when we're subtracting something in brackets, it's like we're subtracting, and you can imagine that there's a 1 there. And that minus 1 has to get distributed, just like we saw before when we had a subtraction, that negative gets distributed to both of them.
So why is there a 1 there?
So we are going to get, this is equal to 4 minus times 4a will be minus 4a. The minus times the plus 5b will be minus 5b. Are there any like terms?
No.
Nope. So we are done.
Can you go to the next homework now?
Here is your homework assignment.